Same with skiing. Freeheel skiing versus skiing really locked in. You have a lot more mobility, right? So you need to have the stability, right? I tell people throw a ball on a solid ground versus throwing a ball on a lake, a frozen lake, and you're going to see how important stability is, right? So you have a responsibility toward making yourself stable, because I'm about to show you, you just are not by nature. Your body is not designed like a building. It's designed to move, okay? This thing is made for mobility. You have to provide the stability, okay? Just think about the spine. If I stack the spine up on a cadaver, as soon as I put the head on it, the whole thing would crumble. I mean, these are slick surfaces, round surfaces, curved surfaces. It's not a building. It actually holds itself up through tension integrity, okay? You're just a system of sticks and muscles, strings and sticks and cables and pulleys, and it's tension that keeps you together. You understand that? In fact, your pulleys are all very inefficient levers. If you guys know anything about lever systems, which we won't get into, they're the weakest levers possible. They're all built for movement. Okay, you know the old saying, get a bigger lever arm if you want to move something. Boom. Big long arm, it moves a little bit at the point out here. Well, we have our lever systems designed for little bits of pull to achieve great motion at the outer ranges, because it's more important to us. Right? Speed, movement is more important to us. So my message here is most people are very mobile and fine, and that's why we're getting hurt, is because we don't have the stability that needs to precede mobility. It is a recipe for disaster. My job here today is to tell you, you've got to make yourself stable. Stable is the start. Stable. The bike does not make you stable. No way. You get stable on the bicycle. You're the athlete. You're the one riding. So, how am I doing? Everyone all right? Lost anyone yet? Good movement is something we want to practice, right? Now, I just have this in here so that you understand. Good movement is something that can become natural when you put it in and you practice it. Bad movements are habits that get entrained and get very hard to break. The way the nervous system works, it's about 350 repetitions to entrain a new pattern into the body, into the neurology, to get your body to repeat that. 350 to learn a new pattern, and at least 5,000 to break an old one. So it's much better to start making new habits than creating ones. But listen, you get on that bicycle, and I can tell you most of you people are putting 5,000 repetitions in the bike, in that pedal stroke in a good one ride. Right? So you could be trying to make habits in the gym, get on the bike and ride unconsciously, and what are you teaching yourself? Right? So we want to understand that you have a lot of time, a lot of repetitions on the bicycle, so it's not a place to fall asleep. It's a place to be an athlete. It's a place to do these things well, and it gets easy. You know, it's hard in the beginning, but it really does get easy and natural, and then you just watch your fitness building. You watch yourself stop getting hurt. You're talking to a person who had lots of back and neck pain. And so, wait a second, what no chiropractors are doing, nobody's fixing me, and I just got it. Oh, I have to do this myself. I have to hold myself up. Right? So I like to do a little demonstration here. I don't know if I'm out of order, but you guys can let me know, where we start to feel a little bit for a second what gravity is really doing to us here. So I have everybody want to just relax into your seats and let yourselves get really heavy. Normally I'll have my clients lay on the floor and get as heavy as possible, right? The goal is that when you feel yourself sitting up and picking yourself up, you feel the effort, okay? You can even imagine if you're laying on the floor. It's a muscular effort. Man, this stuff isn't easy. And as soon as you stop holding yourself up, you're on the ground and you're going to die. Unless someone comes and feeds you and whatever, but that's not that much fun. You've got to get up. And then once you're up, shit, you could fall down again. This is not easy. And then I spend my life going on one leg to another. I mean, I have this whole dance I'm performing. We need to be strong enough to hold ourselves up. Okay, that's the message. Gravity is always on you. Gravity is the one trying to take you out. Gravity is the one who says, if you are not strong enough to be here, I got other stuff to do with you. I'll take this bone and skin and I'll make dirt and I'll grow this tree, and that'll feed someone who wants to be here. So maintaining this postural tension integrity, really, and like you can think of a lot of things that are structures based on tension integrity, which is like a suspension bridge or a bicycle wheel. maintaining this tension integrity is your job. Muscle contractions, these are active contractions. These are things that you have to do, okay? So you're responsible for holding yourself up there and in there. And you're responsible when you don't. So this is the role of strength training, is that this is how we practice. This is where we get to see whether we're holding ourselves aligned correctly or not. I use strength training as a form teacher for the most part. I tell people, I don't care, I don't want you to do 10 reps of anything. I want you to do 1 rep perfectly, and I want you to feel it. If you're doing it and you're feeling it and your mind is trying to feel it, you're doing the right thing. I don't care if you're doing the exercise right, as long as you're trying to feel it. You're making connections, because you'll eventually get there. But you have to get there. What is good posture? Just give you a quick little demo. Good posture is a nice, simple feeling of what I like to describe as meeting gravity with levity. If there is gravity, there has to be levity, right? So I'm basically just going to feel lighter. I'm going to let my body feel like a string is gently rising up to the top of my head here. I don't have time to really, I could spend an hour just teaching good posture, okay, but we're just going to kind of go through it. And you can stand here and look, it's light. It's not effort producing. If posture took a lot of effort, you'd be tired by the end of the day. This is easy. It gets relaxing, right? Or I could stand here like this. How's that? Stand here like this, right? Basically, I got a whole bunch of guts in here. These small intestines are miles of slop. All I got to do is let them go, and gravity's going to pull them to the floor. And it's going to hang from my low back. But you know what? I've got a muscle in here that's supposed to actually hold them up for me. Problem is, most people aren't doing that. So all I got to do is hold them up a little bit, and now my intestines know that they belong inside my body and not on the floor. Which, by the way, is when I look at most hernias and things like that, it's kind of like your intestines are trying to escape. Maybe you should let them, and that chocolate bar is definitely not healthy. So, yeah. So now, where does good posture start? Okay, this is the kind of one of the most important things you might see here today. I'm going to have everybody sit up tall in your chairs. Okay. Good posture actually begins in the pelvis. This is the center of gravity. What you have to understand is the coupled movements. There are coupled movements throughout the body. Bones have all these crazy shapes, which means one turns one way, the other is going to turn the other way. They just simply don't fit. Okay, the hip joint is one example. As my pelvis tilts forward, this is what's called an anterior pelvic tilt or a forward tilting pelvis, Donald Duck, right? My femurs are going to turn in, which is going to flatten my feet. My low back is going to extend, right? And as my tail tucks under, my femurs are going to turn out, which is going to pull my knees out. My low back is going to flex, which is going to flex my upper back. My head and neck are going to come forward. So here's what we'll do. Just sit in your chairs, and to feel your pelvis roll backward, all you're going to do is slouch. Let your pelvis roll backward. Okay, and you feel what happens. You feel the inner edge of your foot come off the floor. Yeah, you feel your thighs turn out. You feel all that. So all my pelvis has to do is move. My thighs move. You feel your low back flexed. Right? So it goes to the disc pain position. Right? You feel that. There you go. Now come up to the front of your chair, stick your butt all the way out. Feel the inside of your feet hit the ground. Feel your femurs roll in. Feel your low back arch. Feel your head pick up. Feel your shoulders raise. It starts in the pelvis, guys. All you got to do is control where that pelvis is, and you've started to control posture. Okay? Does that make sense? Right? So right now, just find the middle. Right? Roll yourself across until you find the middle, and you'll feel that in the middle of that pelvic posture, your sit bones actually stick out prominent. And you'll feel your sit bones on the chair prominent. And in fact, when you're in that nice posture, I bet you could almost stick your finger or a pencil between your legs, and you're not sitting on your crotch. You're not sitting on it. It's actually got a little space. It's the way it was designed to be. You know, we stand on the hard parts. I stand on the balls of my foot, not the soft part. You want to sit on your sit bones. Good posture is going to bring those sit bones out. Okay, so that's part of just the beginning. Now, trying to tell you how to set your core correctly is one of the most important parts and probably the hardest thing that I teach. Is really neurological training, okay? It is so, what we're going to end up talking about in the core are these deep postural fibers. The core is the most overused word in fitness. My God. No one knows what it is. Everyone talks about it. Everyone beats the crap out of it, and that is not what we're talking about. Okay? I'm going to tell you that in terms of just the core itself, when we refer to, it's talking about the abdominal wall to a large degree. The abdominal wall is made up of 4 massive layers, giant, top to bottom, right? They all have many innervations. They have separate regions below the belly button and above the belly button, upper and lower abdominals that are innervated all by separate innervations. So they can do all kinds of stuff. They're designed for both massive, powerful, dynamic mobility, pure stability, aggressive stability, and subtle, what we'll call core postural stability. So my conversation today is going to be concerned with the postural fibers of the abdominal wall, which we're calling the core. Okay? The deepest layer of your abdominal wall is called the transversus abdominis. Has anyone heard of that? Okay. It's just a corset. It's a circle. Top to bottom, its main job is to just squeeze in gently, to hold your guts in, to hold everything in. It is the role of the postural fibers of the core. They do so much to set everything up for your life to be better. I cannot reiterate enough that the single greatest thing you can do is learn to use your core correctly to change your mechanical health, as well as a million other things, because as this thing moves, it's actually running pumping systems. And your body doesn't have many pumps. I mean, that heart's a pretty weak one as well. But cerebral spinal fluid, all these things require muscular contraction to pump, and your core is a key element of the cerebral spinal fluid. So, just as one. The way you're gently going to set your core, I'm going to kind of give you a little demo, and then I'll try and teach it to you. But it starts at the bottom, at the very bottom at the pelvic floor, and grows up. Okay? Its last part of its responsibility is to actually tilt the pelvis into position. The first part of its responsibility is many-fold, okay? As I begin to gently set my abdominals from the bottom, okay, if I let my belly hang out, it's not going to move from here. I'm just going to start. I tell men to start by gently lifting your testicles without your hands. Gently feeling them lift up slowly, and I tell women to perform a Kegel. Unfortunately, most people know a Kegel a little incorrectly, and they tell me it's a squeeze. It's not a squeeze, it's a milking. Okay? It's the same as a gentleman lifting their testicles. They're rising up, and then you're gently drawing them back. It's to try and get a rhythmic contraction that's gently bringing these fibers up. Okay, so one of the things that's happening in that, we'll call the toothpaste effect, right, is that if I gently start squeezing in from the bottom, I'm pushing all this fluid up. All these organs, all this fluid, I am getting a hydraulic lift helping me against gravity just by gently setting the core correctly. Okay? Okay? As I start to gently set my lower abdominals correctly, these muscles are wrapping around the 2 halves of my pelvis, and they're actually holding my pelvis against my spine. Now, my spine is not bolted in. So the 2 halves of the pelvis holding tight against the spine, how many people are getting told they have sacroiliac joint issues or this or that? That's the joint right there where it's your abdominal wall that holds the 2 halves of your pelvis from falling apart. Okay? It's vital. It holds the basics of that front-back pelvic posture. So what's happening when I do this tilt right, I gently set, and then as it reaches the end range position, I slowly pull up until it keeps my pelvis into a nice neutral position. Notice I'm not holding too tight. It has nothing to do with respiration, with talking. These are postural, subtle muscles. Just setting this adds tension to the thoracolumbar fascia. This is a big sheet of fascia in the back that without the abdominal wall set is slack. And if it's slack, well, your spinal erectors connect through there, your glutes connect through there. So many muscles in this body need that tension to actually work. So this is setting up just a little tension in that area. Not only that, but when these close, the attachments of the thoracolumbar fascia, as the abdominal wall comes in and spreads that low back, actually pull the spine apart. I mean, there's more. I can tell you so much. It just is the most vital aspect of setting up good posture. So, everyone stand up.